I get this thing all the time. They're like, Nick, you've changed. I'm like, okay. Like, all right. And they're like, I just want you to be the old Nick that made Nick Nick. And I'm like, well, I don't know exactly. Like, I never know what that means. I don't know what that is because, like to me, the core of what I do is roughly the same. There's always like there's legal commentary, there's political commentary, culture commentary, there's liquor, there's crude jokes. That's all existed forever. Now, obviously, there will be subject shifts, and sometimes some subjects will dominate shit. The Vic subject dominated the show for a long time. The Kyle Rittenhouse during the trial dominated the show for a long time. Johnny Depp dominated the show for a long time. All of those are going to be true, but between those, in the between times, which is where we are now, in the between times, it's kind of just whatever I want to talk about and stuff to me, but I don't know. The problem I have is that when people say that, they don't give you helpful information about what thing it is that has changed. They don't tell you. It's just something that's changed. So I'm always like left going, okay, well, what is the thing that changed? How do I don't know what makes me or whatever, but it's like, it's I don't know. It's such a fucking weird thing. It's so strange. The internet is so weird. It's such a weird concept to me. I don't actually know what to do. And the problem with it is you've been doing this for a long time. Like you don't actually know what part they're talking about. And it's hard to discern. You've been drinking more, streaming less. No, not true, actually. That's the weird thing. Ranting more and not even the fun kind of ranting. Most rants just drag on and on, repeating over and over, not complaining. Those are just a change. Twisted Sin, it's have I been streaming less than when I stream trials? Yes. I do not have 15 hours a day, 5 days a week to stream because I haven't cleared my schedule for it. I can't actually do that right now. But prior to Rittenhouse and Depp, me streaming 3 to 4 days a week was not weird. It's the norm. That was actually the normal thing to do for me because back then, when I didn't have a legal or political topic, I didn't do a show at all. I talked about this. It all depends on where people came into the show and what they came to expect. The problem is a lot of people came in during Depp and Rittenhouse and they expect me to be able to do 5 days a week. They got accustomed to this 15 hours of streaming for 5 days a week. I can't do that. I can't. A lot of times it's hard for me to do 5 days a week of night streaming for various reasons. My schedule's a fucking disaster. But it's weird to see this shit. Like it's and you never know where it is because one person will disagree with the next. In all the midst of the you've changed stuff, I'm like always trying to find the answer. I'm like, what do you think is different about me? Because of course, by the way, over 6 years of time, you change. You guys do too. This is something I think audiences kind of fail to realize what they change. If you don't like the same content after 6 years, congratulations. You're actually fucking normal. I can't think of anything I watched for 6 years straight other than like maybe Game of Thrones. But when you think about how much time that is out of a year, like a show like Game of Thrones, what, 18 hours, 20 hours a year? What's my show a year? Let's say it's only 3 days a week. 150 shows a year at 3 hours, 450 hours a year versus 20. If you're watching my show for 6 years I'm actually shocked that people do, because I can't. Like that goes beyond my attention span, my interests. I've covered so many topics in so many different areas of different popularities and different stripes. Like it's kind of the feature of social media, in my opinion, that you can not need to be brand loyal. Like HBO used to need people to subscribe to HBO shows. Like the idea that HBO would put on a good show and HBO would have a good movie list. So you watch HBO. Cool. That's not how social media works. It works different. But whatever, it's fine. I'm always kind of surprised by this, but I always want to know, like, what is it that changed for you? Like, what is the thing that changed for you? And one of the people said, they're like, you just seem more depressed these days. You seem more like down or whatever. It's like, well, yeah. Sometimes life fucking walks up and kicks you right in the goddamn testicles. One of the things people have always said about me and my show that they like is like, well, you're real, you're honest, like you seem authentic. Well, part of that authenticity is when things are hard and things are down or whatever, and like life walks up and kicks you in the testicles, like you're still there. You can't mask it. You're live streaming for hours at a time. You're not an actor. You can be an actor for 5 minutes. Can you be an actor for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? How long can you go? Can you do it with liquor? I don't want to be an actor. Being an actor is terrible. If you're an actor, you shoot people like Alec Baldwin, or you're gay and you butt fuck people. I don't want to do either of those things. It's kind of wild, but it's like, yeah, sometimes you go through a bunch of shit in real life. You can't always talk about it. Like, it's not always appropriate to talk about, and people don't want you to. Like, well, you seem sad. Like, well, I'm sorry. Life isn't always happy. Is yours always happy? I don't know. It's like, what do you want me to do about that? Well, make your life happier so my entertainment's better. I would love to. I'd love to do that. And I have a great life. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's fantastic. But it's not always about like whether your life is great, whether everything is always going great all the time, whether everything is always 100, whether everything is always perfect. You know, a lot of that shit's not in your hands. You guys know this. Like, oh, you seem kind of depressed sometimes. Sometimes I am. It's always interesting to find out what fucking thing people are annoyed with. And when you find out, it's like, well, you're not always as happy as you were during X time. It's like, all right, cool. That's not a possible thing. That's not how life works. But I'm sorry, I'll try and be happier for you at all times. But as far as like the content, I don't know. There's like off-season content. To me, off-season content is like random political and legal topics that I can comment on. Maybe I'll start doing more entertainment and culture shit, but I feel like people don't want me to talk about that. Maybe they do. They don't tend to like my opinions on it. So I try and stay away from those for the most part.